Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tiana here once again and I'm back for some more of yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, aka Kirby's Adventure Wii for, obviously, for the Nintendo Wii. So, last time we have managed to gone through Nutty Noon and we managed to gather all of these energy spheres on that world, and also we did manage to restore the final part for the forms of Lord Starcutter, and then we able to take off onto the forms of his planet home, but then it turns out that we actually crash landed again, except this time around though we ended up on that specific home planet for Megalore himself. So today, we're about to be continue things on and move on to the forms of World 6, which is known as Egg Engines. And as far as at this point, that the levels themselves, especially noticeable, well, I don't think it's necessarily going to take forever to complete it, but at least hopefully I can able to complete some of those throughout. So anyways, let's get to it with, level 6-1 on the forms of Egg Engines, and it appears to be the forms of a metallic core, some sort of like a metal-based kind of environment, or for that matter though, a factory some sort of world, because as you can see, we come across into the forms of all sorts of contraptions, such as, well, for instance, the actual, the Smash Compactor and stuff like that, and also same applies by the forms of, some of those, some Smash Compactors, basically. So either way, there's not much else to really compliment on it by itself, and, dang it, really? Anyway, though, yeah, today's day is the forms of, the 21st of January today, in this case in 2020, so there's not much else going on at this point in time, folks, apart from the fact that I do apologize if I, got my really weird behavior during the forms of the last video of this, because back in during the likes of in Thursday, I can't even believe how disappointed I was. Well, pretty much because of the fact that we actually got ourselves yet another Fire Emblem character from, Smash Ultimate, because, now, every now and then, though, is the fact that, well, we usually got ourselves one of those characters in 3 houses and stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, in this section right there, not only do you need to dodge a lot of hazards, such as, like, the electricity, plasma stuff right there, as well as from that, we need to also watch out for those enemies coming by, and not to mention the sleep ability, because yes, if you touch the sleep ability at least once, then you probably guarantee you might as well fall off, so definitely a little bit trickier. And as far as I'm aware, eventually at this point is that the actual game itself might get significantly harder. Well, I don't necessarily think it won't be that hard as compared to the forms of how it does in the old school games, basically, because of, as you expected, that my life's count has been reset just like before, and basically, the reason why I'm gonna have to, fire my cannon just about in an exact time, because as you can see, we're about to be getting ourselves our first energy sphere. In fact, speaking of which actually, it's the fact that this will actually be the last level to able to feature just only 3 energy spheres, because as a result, eventually at this point until level 2 and possibly 4 and 5, that we might actually come across into a lot more of those energy spheres to collect. Well, it wasn't until in level 6-4, all the way to the very end, that we have to collect in exactly 5 energy spheres at least. So even then, because of that though, we actually getting pretty close towards the end, basically, for the entire game itself. So naturally speaking, I'm really hoping that we can able to actually just to complete this during time. So I don't think it's necessary we can able to complete this in during the forms of this month in particular, because as far as you already know about this at this point, is the fact that this is where some of these Kirby Let's Plays during that time, well, usually ever since in Kirby's Epic Yarn, that most of the time the actual games Let's Plays of those kinds of games will actually take a little bit longer in comparison to the old school games, basically, to me though, but either way though, I have no idea why I'm trying to say that right now, because as far as you already know this at this point, is the fact that hopefully I'm not being too negative about this and during the likes of in today's video, because back on last Thursday, it just goes like, I can't even believe that just really disappoints me, because as far as I'm aware, well, usually I'm not a big fan of the actual, the series, not to mention. Well, I used to still enjoy the Smash Bros. Games, basically, but it's just Fire Emblem stuff I wasn't really keen on, to be honest with you. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get ourselves the Monster Flame ability out, so that way we can able to fuse those bombs, so that way we can able to proceed to the actual level. And as far as I'm aware, is the fact that the actual portal dimension is gonna be somewhere when it gets to like later down the road on this section in particular. So either way, also not to mention about this at this point today is the fact that there's not much else I can usually just try to, you know, talk about this at this point, apart from the fact that despite I've already pre-ordered the actual DLC characters combined, or at least I'll also give Byleth a chance, but it's just that, well, most of the time though, it just always upsets me every time when that usually shows up, because I'm just getting sick of the forms of one of those old creepypasta just trying to able to actually open his mouth every time he sees Byleth on screen from the actual reveal of Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I was like, excuse me, old man, I'm starting to be able to be sicking of you, decided able to shocking with you wetting, or something like that. I just have no idea how to really saying that, because, oh man, it just really gets on my nerves at that point. But anyways, let's not get ahead of ourselves for this point right now, because now we actually fuse this big bomb right there, and then that way it'll access to the forms of the portal dimension. So either way, as far as you notice, will doubt it by this point in time, is the fact that if you gobble the some projectiles up, and you can able to reflect it back onto the forms of that shifting wall, and then what happens is that the shifting wall actually just managed to go back a little bit, which it does manage to help you out, especially noticeable when you get to the second playthrough of the game, which we're probably not going to talk about it too much until whenever we're able to complete the entire thing first. So even then, let's not get ahead of ourselves to this point just yet. So, but aside from everything else though, that's all I can really say about this, sadly, because even then, there's not much else I can say about it. So either way, well, at least until then, as far as this point right now, that we're actually getting very, very close towards the end of this Let's Play, basically, because we got, I would say, we're actually going to World 6 so far, and, well, eventually we might as well come across into the next new world after this. So, not much else commented on there, so even then we'll just bust out every single of those enemies on screen, and then thankfully we could... Oh, really? I always attempt to get hit sometimes whenever I was in a hurry and stuff, but at least even then, no, not nearly as much. Let's just send out the bomb Kirby ability, so that way we could able to deal out with the another Sphere Doomer, and except now, he's actually in white. So either way, because I think this is kind of like the related to most of the other, likely the colors of the Sphere Doomer or something. Oh, really? Okay, I just need to get that bomb back. There we go. So that way we can able to deal twice enough damage on the forms of Sphere Doomer himself. Oh, he's almost down. Okay, there we go. Whew. But anyways, we got ourselves the final two energy spheres on 6-1, so, and also restore our health in the process. So yeah, let's get the heck out of here. Well, not the actual level itself, but the actual dimension itself. So, anyways though, I think that pretty much takes care from here though. It only took me about almost 8 minutes, because despite with the forms of... Oh, dang it, we're going back into 2 again, aren't we? It's always going to be like this though, especially noticeable where my 2 button presses. It's like, it's all about the timing and what have you. So as a result, I just have no idea why I was trying to be going for this point. So, anyways though, so let's go ahead and move on to stage 2, where in stage 2 we can now able to collect about 4 of those energy spheres. So that will lead up to 91 if we manage to collect them. So I think I've actually recognized this music actually, because although usually relatively speaking, because I've noticed this music that has been playing in the background, which appears to be Command J64's Let's Look at Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, that he did find the game to be unpleasant experience, because, well, usually he thinks it's one of the worst RPG games ever, specifically for the Sonic game as of late. So even then, that's the thing I've usually noticed about this music already. So either way though, let's just go ahead and you know, bust out these little fire-based enemies, and hopefully we're able to actually continue finding those energy spheres during time, even though we've almost pretty much gathered every single one of them. So I think as far as this point, that I think we got about in exactly, although generally speaking, unfortunately I've lost count of how many of those energy spheres that we've actually gone through since then. So either way, I think in this room right there, well, until whenever we get to the very end at least, while at the same time dodging those little, you know, drill stuff from the top. So, excuse me, I do apologize for the actual commentary for the sake of clarity for this point, guys, because usually I'm just becomes like super stingy when it comes to the forms of you know, how disappointing last Thursday was, which we're really hoping we can able to get ourselves a proper Nintendo Direct next time, because we can able to see some exciting news specifically for what's going to be new for Mario in 2020, and also some more information on Animal Crossing New Horizons, until when any other fans out there will be super excited about. As well as from that, the actual proper release date for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which I'm actually really hoping that will be the case, because that way I can able to give that game a second chance, and then this time around though honor the recent hardware. So either way, because usually I found the textures in especially noticeable in a graphical standpoint on the original Nintendo Wii version, as well as the new 3DS version. I will have to admit though right away is that the actual textures and the actual graphics itself is not that great, to be honest, but at least I'm hoping I can able to get come across into a better visual standpoint on the Nintendo Switch version, which it already did. And also I'm really hoping it actually brings us to more facial expressions in the forms of the Switch version, because compared to specifically, well, it does have some expressions in the original version of the game, as well as the new 3DS version, but it's just that, well, I just don't see the actual proper expression, unlike the Switch version, which I hate to be like brutally honest for that point, but it's just that I just want to able to point it out right away. So, anyway, so you know with that first energy sphere I've got, basically it's how to get yourselves a water ability, and that way you can able to actually just go ahead and you know, just soak out some of those flame blocks, and then as a result you can expect it able to actually come across to that. And the second energy sphere, as you can clearly tell on the bottom left corner, above from my health gauge or my health bar, I'm actually going to be using a stone for this point, because, well, it's a shame you can't able to use most of the copy abilities in underwater, unlike the forms of how it does it in specifically in the previous games for sure. But then again, I haven't really touched upon that much of Kirby ever since in 2018, probably because of the celebration for, you know, Kirby Star Allies, as you already know. But I digress. So anyways, you need to use a stone for that specific point right there. And that way you can able to bust out these little hard steel bricks and stuff. And that way you can able to get yourselves the energy sphere from here. Or alternatively though, if you manage to play this game with your multiplayer, specifically if one player uses King Dedede of all things, then that way you can able to actually bust out the blocks as well. So yeah, you can expect that. So anyways, as you can see, we have the returning ability ever since in Kirby's Adventure and stuff. Here we have a crash ability, where basically just like the forms of the mic ability that we've already come across into, except the noticeable difference between the mic and crash is that crash only uses just only once, whilst the forms of the mic ability, it only allows you to able to use it for about 3 times. So yeah, naturally speaking, I have no idea why I keep on obtaining the crash ability to begin with, but it does like some sort of a screen nuke, which is always recommendable though, especially noticeable if you always get surrounded by most of the enemies, and then that way you can able to clear them off within just in the well, just a screen nuke basically. So either way though, definitely recommend it though, especially noticeable that if you ever played Kirby's Adventure before, and I believe also same applies for the previous games for sure, because then again, I haven't really touched upon that much Kirby since, you know, in 2018 as a result. So I must admit though, I do apologize with the actual, you know, just trying to catch up some more stuff here and there, you know. So talking of which, actually, is the fact that, you know, with our uploading schedules routine that we always attempt to do, unfortunately though, for part of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, specifically, part number 8 most likely, that the one time that Piglet and Daffy Duck has recently got started on Team Festival mode, that recently they managed to get started for that point. Unfortunately though, things didn't work out though with the actual uploading schedule, because as far as I'm aware, once again we have to come across into that Wi-Fi connection issues once again. And as a result, we got one dislike in the process, which it's nothing so bothersome, it's just that we were trying our best if we were able to actually do that specific uploading schedule system. Now as a result though, much like the forms of how it does it on the previous years, since 2018, that unfortunately some stuff happens, like, you know, the Wi-Fi connection just keeps on going like on and off, and then as a result our processing with the actual upload is like, it takes absolute forever to able to upload some stuff, probably due to the Wi-Fi connection issues, which, as a result though, we're just getting a little bit ticked off from that. We're really hoping that's not gonna happen again during at some point in Friday, because you know how the fact that with part 8 of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games so far, originally that was expected to be uploaded during last Friday, but unfortunately though, things just doesn't work out because of the stupid Wi-Fi connection issues again, so, which that sucks, but either way though, we just have to cope with it as it is, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, relatively speaking, that particular Let's Play will be almost finished by then, and during at some point at the end of this month, specifically on, I would say on the 31st of, well, 31st of January. So even then though, once that's been done, then we can move on to the next set of Let's Plays, including the actual some parts of Sonic needs to get back into Kingdom Hearts Final Mix eventually. So hopefully you're able to actually just to finish up that particular Let's Play by then. But not now though, because we're most likely focusing on 3 things at a time rather than just 4 things at a time, because it gets disorientation every time whenever we do something like this, especially noticeable when if some other Let's Plays might go for a little bit too long, well, most of the time we always attempt to have some little bit of break times or anything like that, which as a result, I think that could be also the same applies for most other RPG Let's Plays here and there too, especially noticeable with much more bigger games, like, you know, Super Mario Odyssey has been up for about, well, we did start that Let's Play up until in 2018, but now we probably finished that Let's Play during at the very end of 2019, which, I think it does also the same applies for Super Mario 64 DS as well. And, well, usually because, I think Sonic did manage to, oh yeah, Sonic and Sticks most likely, that, those two did manage to get started with, Super Mario 64 DS Let's Play back in 2016, but after a certain amount of hiatus, until when it gets to the point until a few months' time, usually they just now manage to get back onto it in 2017, and then eventually they finish that Let's Play in 2017 in the process, well after the Super Mario 3D World Let's Play starts, so kind of feels like all over the place when it comes to the forms of several other Let's Plays in mind, but eventually at this point until sometime in March, hopefully we can able to do a Super Mario Sunshine redo Let's Play, and then until eventually when the next 3D Mario game will about to be announced, most notably when it gets to the point until likely E3 or something like that, then we can expect to celebrate when it comes to doing the last game retrospective when it comes to 3D Mario stuff. Well, I don't think we're going to be doing another redo Let's Play of Super Mario 3D Land, because I'm pretty sure we've already sorted enough as it is. So unfortunately, seemingly to tell you for this point, guys, we'll just have to stuck with it as it is. So anyways, let's go ahead and use the stone ability, so that way we can able to, you know, bypass those spikes from the ceiling, and, hopefully everything's all in check. So anyways, let's go ahead and go for this section here. Strangely enough though, we actually did this pretty darn well, especially consists of how the fact that we're actually doing so well. Well, a couple of exceptions mind you, which there are few situations where most of the enemies keep on getting surrounded by me. So either way though, or most of the time I just keep on getting surrounded by most of the enemies most of the time. Well, it doesn't seem to happen that often though, but most of the time it just usually gets common nowadays, especially noticeable in the future Kirby games in the series. Well, usually for this, as well as Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobots occasionally, and as well as Star Allies. Well, despite with Star Allies, it's actually way easier, or should I say, the most easiest game in the series up until that point. And as a result of that kinds of stuff, because of the actual AI experience with computer players. So, anyways, let's get the flare beam so that way we can able to, you know, do some usual stuff. And as you can see, we got ourselves these returning objects, as you can see right there, which they are flare beam switches, which if you remember those ever since in 19 Noon, except now with, you know, just different shapes in mind. So even then, and plus it takes place in a different environment. However, I'm probably not going to do it all the time though, because the only rewards you can only get is of course the actual stars, as well as, well, just stars in general for points clarity. So I think I should probably skip those for now, until whenever we move on to the next room, and hopefully we were able to find some more treats of some switches, as you can see. And here, we need to activate all of them, just like before. But here's the thing, though. We need to do some sort of a pattern going on, because if you let that thing run out, then you have to reset. So, don't worry, though. At least I did manage to go a plethora of chances left. So, hopefully we would able to actually fill those in. And then if you filled those in already, then you notice there's actually this little entrance on the actual ground part actually activates, and also as a result the electricity stuff will just turn off, and also the actual wall is shifting from the right. So, and eventually you will make it to the forms of the next portal dimension. So even then, and I think this might actually be the well, I don't know how do I truly explain about this right now, because, well, then again though, it has been quite a while since actually coming back to this, since last Thursday's disappointing day for my regard. Well, hopefully by the time until this Thursday in particular, which is specifically the 23rd, hopefully it should be a lot more tolerable in comparison to the forms of how it does it from before. But you know, you get the idea for that. So, oh yeah, there's one little thing that I sort of did not notice at this point, is that we actually come across into a very, very annoying moment in our channel, which is nothing to do with the actual channel itself. It's, to be more accurate, in one of those videos actually, by the forms of Christmas 2011 unboxing video. That particular video has been out for quite a long time now. Well, during the forms of 2011 back in the day, but since these two separate parts has been combined into one this time around though, since 2016. But what happens is though, whilst the video has been up for quite a long time, unfortunately the copper thing is about to be gone, which as a result, this means that our video doesn't have any comments and no likes or dislikes now, which this means I'm gonna be blamed for that, because, well, usually I just love anyone else seem to able to enjoy most of the videos, and I noticed the fact that it's automatically set into kids anyway, so yeah, it's nothing totally surprised me at all, because I have no idea why that we come across that issue. So either way, and I just don't know what to expect, because as a result, things goes all over the place, I'm telling you. Especially noticeable how the fact that it just gets worse though. But either way though, we're not even like trying to complain about that too much. But anyway, let's go ahead and deal with the Sphere Doomer again, and I accidentally lost my hammer, but at least we can able to finish him off, so much so, and get the final two energy spheres just from here. Because yeah, as you can see, we're actually gonna have to do a lot of swimming from time to time until level 6-4, that we might actually come across into, well, a lot of swimming. So I think out of the worlds in this game so far, World 6 Egg Engines contains a lot more of those energy spheres to find, because there are about 21 of them in total, so that's a bigger amount compared to the forms of how it does it in the previous world for sure. But I need to able to recap on some of those worlds. They did manage to have, like, the lesser amount of those energy spheres than the likes of one of those worlds contains, well, a lot more energy spheres to find around here, so. But I digress though, so now we've just managed to unlock stage 4, which usually, relatively speaking, we're now going on to the actual ruins itself. And what do I mean by that? Well, usually, relatively speaking, just in the actual sewers, basically. That's what I like to say, because as you can tell, that since this is more accurately a factory-themed world, and also you're going to be seeing a lot of those sewer kinds of elements or something. So, like, you know, the water current, as well as from that, well, some darkness to top it off. So hopefully we're able to find, you know, 5 of those energy spheres once again. So either way, though, and I think, fundamentally, though, is the fact that, well, this will, you know, with level 6-3, that was actually the last level to be able to feature, 4 of those energy spheres to collect. And as far as this point and onwards, for 6-4 and beyond, then we have to grab all 5 of them in those particular levels as so. So anyways, let's go ahead and obtain the hammer ability, because like the forms of how it does it in World 2, and especially noticeable for World 4, we need to get a lot of usage on that candle. And that way, if you go to the right, then you get yourselves the energy sphere from here. And the first energy sphere, as far as I like to say. And I believe the second energy sphere was actually not near far from here. And I think it's like soon after, so ignore that door and go on to the left and then just swim for it, and then the water current will do it for you, and that way it takes you to the secret path right down there. And then after that, though, we need to avoid a lot of enemies, specifically those little fishies and stuff like that. And then when you've done so already, then you would guarantee we can able to actually avoid a lot of hazards and stuff, despite I accidentally lost my hammer ability once again. But if you go all the way here, then you get yourselves a second energy sphere. So it's not too bad, though. And we need to watch out, just do not get crushed for this point here, because otherwise you'll be ended up dying instantly. Let's go ahead and get our fighter ability from now on, so that way we can able to see that particular ability in action, despite the fact that we've not used fighters all that much. Actually, no matter what, though, let's go ahead and use spear in case, but either way, though, it's just a matter of opportunities to able to use some of those Kirby abilities just from the start. Anyway, so let's go ahead and take down this little couple blade here, so hopefully we'll get ourselves the mandatory Kirby ability for the next energy sphere for, you know, just the cutter ability. So hopefully we'll take him down as soon as we could, and hopefully disabled the spear, and then go all the way to the right, and then you notice there's actually a switch right there. And however, though, here's the thing, though, we need to be slightly close towards the water current, particular down part. And however, though, it's not as easy, though, because if you accidentally get touched by the water current, well, what happens is you'll automatically continue further beyond. So as a result, I have to gently tap the directional pad right, and that way you get yourselves, well, the next energy sphere, alongside with a couple of healing food here and there as well, so it always helps, though. And that doesn't end off here, because now we ended up on some sort of like a labyrinth maze section, where I believe this is where we come across into ourselves the next energy sphere, which is one over there, and hopefully we need to find a correct pathway, so that way we can able to find the way to the actual energy sphere itself. And then basically what we need to do is that we need to bust out these blocks here and hopefully trying to avoid a lot of those enemies, including the most annoying enemies in this level, which is of course those very, very stingy hungry fishes, which I swear to God, I always keep on getting hit by these guys too many times. Go down here, and then that way you guys will see, you know, what else the next energy sphere. So, and also obtain the 1-up itself, so yeah, it's not too bad though, it's not too hard either, well, except for those hungry fishes and stuff. But that doesn't end off here though, because here's the last section of this level, and it's the fact that we need to avoid a lot of those eels, as you can see right there. But the ones we need to aim for is this 6th and the final eel, where we're able to actually come across into that secret door. And then that way we can able to spot, well, eventually the final energy sphere on this stage. So, quite surprised about the fact that we're actually getting pretty close towards the end of this world, basically. Despite, well, you know, I mentioned this before already, is that most of these levels now and then is gonna get a lot longer than it was. But anyways, let's go ahead and swim all the way to the left and enter this door. And then that way you come across into another dark room. But here's the thing now, that way we can able to utilize the spark. And that way you can able to lighten those up. And the ones you need to be helpful though, or in this case, the only ones you need to aim for is of course the left one and the right side of the actual, you know, with that upper ceiling section. And then that way you could able to actually get yourselves not only the torch for easier time just navigating through the dark, but also during the forms of that special key itself. If you somehow activate the middle one, well, basically it contains the cannonade trap. So even then you just have to, well, try not to do it like I do. So anyways, that pretty much takes care of the forms of level 6-4. So again, not too long or anything like that. Well, most of the time anyway though, unless if you really want to go after most of those energy spheres from the start. But hey, at least we managed to get all of them anyway for that particular level. And I think we now reached up to 100 energy spheres, so I think we've got about 20 of them left. So yeah, we're getting pretty close, kind of think about it. So anyways, now let's move on to stage 5. This is a level I remembered, especially noticeable whenever I managed to able to experience this stage with Stuart most of the time back in the day, and that appears to be by the forms of some sort of the smash compactor kinds of crushing segments. Well, not so bad in the beginning though, but so likely in some sections, most notably with like, I think we have to come across into that 3 times, like one from the very beginning, one for the middle part of the level, and the last one is on the very end of the level. So oh boy, I remember that so much, especially noticeable when it comes to like obtain those you know, energy spheres itself, which hopefully though I might as well have an easier time there compared to the forms of how it does it on the multiplayer department, because with multiplayer though it just feels like it's kind of chaotic for my part, or just in my cup of tea anyway though. So anyway, so let's go ahead and wait for a little bit, so just in case we're probably not going to get crushed. And hopefully we will bust out these little star blocks in case we get some a little bit more opening. But you know, you get the idea for that part. So anyways, let's go ahead and let these enemies get crushed to death. And then that way we can get able to not only just try to proceed, but also getting ourselves an extra 1-up. Or the 1-up, I should say. Although eventually, if I manage to... yeah, this is one of the sections I was talking about. We need to follow the exact amount of pattern going on here. I think it's always the exact same pattern every time you die or something like that, or restart the level. But anyways, let's go ahead and just approach onto the left side, and then that way you get yourselves the first energy sphere from here. I believe the first energy sphere, as well as the third energy sphere, as well as the last one, is always ended up going to be on those little segments. Because compared to the second, and especially noticeable with the fourth energy sphere that we can able to find, it will eventually becomes, you know, simple to get. So, such as like, you know, just trying to get them from these little secret parts throughout the actual level itself or something. So anyways though, so I believe the second energy sphere is going to be somewhere nearby after bypassing through all sorts of conveyor belts. And then if we come across into, let's just dodge that specific crossbows and attack that needle enemy over there. And you notice that enemy over there for that specific robot, well basically we need to either just bypass them and, well, you know. And then here we need to deliver the key to the other side. It kind of reminds me of those puzzle stages from Donkey Kong 94, or in this case Mario vs. Donkey Kong to me, because you know we're going to be dealing with the key and you have to toss the key into that conveyor belt and let the key go bypass those little Gordos, as you can see right there. And that way you can able to actually just unlock that specific gate door, and that way you can get ourselves a second energy sphere. And before we continue on, let me just go ahead and grab the food supply, so that way we can able to add up to more health. And here's another of those crushing segments for time to time. And I think this is the moment where you have to like specifically time your things at the right time, such as this, and that way you can get yourselves the third energy sphere. If you're too late on that part, well, the only way you can able to try again is of course just kill yourself basically. So, or in this case, just die instantly and try again. Because frankly, these sections does have checkpoints every time you go to the next room and all that stuff, you know, just like the forms of how it does it on the previous Kirby games for sure. So, again, it's not that complicated for that entire process going, so either way though, let's us go ahead and continue, and we come across into that invincibility or the invisible crystal, and we need to keep a hold of this though, because, well, there's going to be another energy sphere, and I think it's going to be somewhat over there. And in that way, if you activate that lever, then you would, you know, would be able to claim your reward. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting again, folks, because, well, I just have no idea what I was trying to say here. So, and I think this is the last section of this level, so that we need to bypass all sorts of crushing segments from time to time. So, except now you have to worry about those, two segments, as you can see right there. Oh, no! Ah, I can't believe I just got screwed over right there. Luckily though, there's a checkpoint just as soon as I enter this room, so yeah, it's not much else to talk about for that point. So, now I suppose we have to wait for a little bit while, because as far as I'm aware, the fifth and the final energy sphere on this level, it should be, you know, just until later on though. So let's just ignore that life as it is, because obviously we've already come across into one already, so, or in this case we actually got a plethora of those extra lives basically, so. Oh boy, I'm actually feeling a little bit nervous potentially, but still. Alright, so I think this is the part coming up, and then once the energy sphere showed up, grab it instantly, and then that way, approach onto the far left, and the goal appears. Whew! That's a bit scary, kind of think about it, because if I somehow die on that specific section though, oh jeez, really? I always get 2s in every single level so far. Jeez, I need to probably time myself a little bit more sporadic until in the next video or something like that. Well, if already depending on that though, because, you know, we're getting very towards the end of this basically for this point, so there's not much anything else to comment on there, so. Anyway, so now we got 105 energy spheres in total, so now let's head on to the next boss, which appears to be, well, we don't know exactly for sure just yet though, but we'll find out until, you know, as we go to approach it. Well, I'm sure enough you may have already noticed at this point. Let's go ahead and use the beam for now. Well, I don't know if beam might actually do a thing on the next boss fight though, but that again, we'll find out until whenever we jump right in, so. Anyway, so let's see what we got here. And that appears to be Metal General, so either way, it feels like a combination of some sort of like Meta Knight, except, well, in a robot form. So basically, as you can tell, every time you hit him, sometimes the actual numbers were able to show up, which kind of reminds me like an RPG kind of attacking system. Like every time you see 520, this means how much damage you're able to reduce from that specific amount of attacks, unless if you utilize the projectile to able to deal with even more damage as a result. So yeah, that's how it goes basically with this particular fight itself. Even then, the beginning is not so bad though. Well, apart from a few times I just keep on messing up for all these dodges in mind, but so in this point right there, I think it gets a little bit tricky and difficult at this point, because every now and then he actually got himself this little particular rocket that he just seems to manage to hop on, and basically he just flies around in the background, and it's your chance to able to actually just to dodge him at the right time. And I think you can able to actually block his attack while he's doing so like this. Although, sometimes though, the actual health gauge might suggest that, ooh, that might have really hurt a little bit. So anyways, let's go ahead and send out even more projectiles at him. Watch out for the flames, and oh really? Did he manage to attack me in midair? Oh jeez, that's not fair. Oh jeez. Okay. No, get up. Okay. Oh jeez. We keep on getting hit most of the time. I'm hoping I don't die on this part, because otherwise I have to go all the way back. Now I'm pretty darn sure is that, much like in the previous Kirby games for sure, that in specifically trying to deal with boss fights in that department, if you somehow die to the boss fight, I'm pretty darn sure you get kicked out or something, and then return back to the world map, or something like that. Well, I haven't really tested it out for myself, especially noticeable in this Let's Play so far, so. And there we go, folks. Egg Engines is being completed. And yes, unlike the previous 5 worlds, well, there's no reward after doing so, because we just simply beat the likes out of him. So, because otherwise, though, that we don't have to worry about the actual, the large Star Cutter equipment as we have hoped for. So either way, 6 worlds done, and I believe we might actually come across into ourselves the 7th world, which we'll probably point it out until, well, this video has been done. So, but anyways though, so on the very peak of the mountain, surrounded by intense flames, the road from here gets a little bit rougher, but I'm sure you'll be just fine. Just hurry up and smash that dragon to smithereens. Yeah, which I'm pretty sure that I guarantee by that, but before we do that, let me just go ahead and activate one of those challenges and stuff like that. But don't worry, we'll come across into those challenges until the next part, because here's what I'm going to be thinking of actually. It's the fact that we'll do one world, well, specifically, well, I'll talk more on that until on Thursday actually, because there's not much else I can usually just have any comments on this whatsoever, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. So anyways, let's see what the worlds we can able to access to. So we've got World 7, Dangerous Dinner. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it basically. So yeah, join me until next Thursday, or this Thursday for that matter, for more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland / Kirby's Adventure Wii. It's the fact that we're going to be taking on the forms of World 7, which is Dangerous Dinner. And this world only has like 3 levels, so a little bit short though. So yeah, I'll see you guys on Thursday, so hopefully things get a little bit more interesting from here. Later, fellas.